That's what I say. You want to control it, not have your body control you.
I like that. I never thought about any of this. I just never thought about, I guess, women's health is not something that I feel like I've had a lot of conversations about. And I've never thought about how much, I guess, choices I have.
Yeah, you have a lot. There's a lot more choice than you know you have.
Yeah, it feels like for so long it's kind of been this expectations and pressures of timelines and how life should look. And it's never been about empowering me to make choices that make sense for me and that feel like setting myself up for a future that I might want.
Yep,
right?
exactly.
It's always about pressure, not empowerment.
Yeah.
You're like giving
and that, but that's what it should be. We should change the conversation. So you're not coming into it and throwing a Hail Mary, being like, God, I hope someone catches that ball down the field. You're throwing, a short angle.
Welcome to Normalize the Conversation by Inspiring My Generation. I'm your host, Francesca Reiketer. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Jaime Knopman, a board-certified reproductive endocrinologist, fertility preservation expert, and author of Own Your Fertility. This episode is for anyone who's felt anxiety around fertility, timelines, or the pressure of what life is supposed to look like. We talk about options, choice, and how having clear information can reduce fear instead of fueling it. This is about empowerment, not panic. So if you've ever thought, why didn't anyone ever tell me this sooner? Join us in this conversation. Your future self will be glad you did. Dr. Knopman, thank you so much for joining me today. I am very excited for our conversation. But before we begin, I want to check in. How are you really?
Oh, really? Actually, I actually am really good today. Usually like a lot of times we give a BS answer, but actually today I'm really good.
I love that. You know what? Same. For a while, I feel like I haven't been. I've been kind of all over the place. And then today, I feel like I finally took a deep breath and I was like, it's a good day.
Are you in New York? Where do you work?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Okay, because I was going to say New York today, it's 45 degrees, but it's been like 10. So everyone's like out and about. Like, I think that I was going to say, if you're in a good mood, that's probably why I'm in a good mood, because being in the negative cold to now, you feel really good.
Oh, yeah. See, our big thing is we had some rain for the past few weeks, and we're finally like 3 days in a row of sun. I've been able to go outside and go for walks. Game changer.
That's where you guys have us beat. LA has New York beat every time in terms of the weather. We have you beat in terms of convenience. Like I could just go in an Uber and get anywhere I want to go and not in as bad of traffic as you guys, but you definitely own the weather.
Yes. Oh, the traffic here. I can't get anywhere ever.
I know. It's horrible.
I moved here about a year ago and it still blows my mind. It takes me like 40 minutes to go 2 miles.
I know. Where'd you move from?
Florida.
Okay. Warm to warm.
Yeah. I can't handle cold. I'm in sweatshirt and like 70-degree weather. But I'm really excited to talk with you today because, you know what? I'm from Florida. I'm from a very conservative family, and we never really talked about reproduction, fertility. I mean, even sex education. These weren't conversations that my family was really having with me, that my mom was really having with me. So when I came across your work, I got anxiety because I was like, I didn't know that these were questions. I didn't know that I even should think about my fertility, right, in my 20s. I thought, well, I have till you get through menopause in like your 50s, so I have till I'm like 50 to have kids to think about it. I didn't even know that these were things to think about. And all of a sudden, I had so much anxiety on timelines. And what should it look like? So I'm really excited that we're going to talk today.
Well, you're like a lot of the women, especially like the students that come through to do rotations, learn about fertility. We really just don't know because we haven't ever really talked about it. I think just now we're starting to break the barriers and be more vocal. But for so many years, nobody ever said to you, hey, by the way, like your egg supply, it's going to take a big hit in your early 30s. And because we didn't know that, we didn't do anything about it.
Yeah. I mean, people make jokes like, or yeah, the comments of like, well, you're running out of time, you need to get married and have kids. And that's like the conversation too, is that typical, like you need to get married and then have kids, and like that traditional way that we've always talked about it and seen. And I'm like, running out of time, what do you mean? Um,
Yeah.
but those like the only conversations I've ever been exposed to. So to think
Yep.
that there's more options out there, first of all, than just like get married and traditionally have kids, but that I actually have a lot more options for me that I can make empowered decisions now
Yep.
is amazing yet overwhelming at the same time.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit of both because you're like, oh my God, it's almost like when you go up to like a buffet, you're sort of like, oh my God, I can have eggs, I can have pancakes, I have French toast. This is so much. It's easy if someone just told me I'm only allowed to have cereal. But the reality is there is a buffet of options available to you, and you sort of need to educate yourself so you know what's best for you and your future.
How do you begin to educate yourself? What kind of questions should you be?
Well, you start out by reading my book, Own Your Fertility, because that will answer a lot of your questions. No, but seriously, all joking aside, I think it's a pretty in-depth, expansive coverage of what's out there in the fertility space. I do think OBGYNs are a good gateway to this field because, what they deal in reproductive health all day long. But I think only a select few are starting to appreciate why we need to do this for women at younger ages, right? I think historically the conversation was introduced a bit later and sometimes it was too late. So I think the earlier we talk about it, the better.
Yeah. And so we should be talking about this. Like I should be talking about this now in my 20s.
Yeah. This is when we need to do it. We need to do it in our 20s.
That's so what kinds of questions could I ask? So I was under the impression that I go to the gynecologist, like you get your pap smear, breast exam, and then birth control and you're out. Like that simple.
Well, that is what it has historically been. I actually love the way you're saying it because my call to action in the book is, yeah, get your pap smear, get your, talk about breast health, get contraception, and talk about future fertility. That should become the fifth pillar or the fourth pillar of the GYN checkup, right? Because without it, we're really doing women a disservice.
So if I wanted to go in and talk about my fertility future, what are some questions that I might ask? I mean, even
So
asking myself too before I go in to kind of check in.
So I think the first thing is it doesn't, I don't know if it matters if you want to have children or you don't want to have children. People always say, like, if I don't want to have kids, it's funny. I just hung up with a woman who I saw her and her wife as a new consult this week, and her wife definitely wants genetic children. This patient of mine was not sure, right? So she was like, "Well, my wife's gonna freeze eggs because we don't want kids for 5 years, and I'll think about it like maybe in 10 years." I'm like, "But you'll go from being 30 to being 40, and then you may not be able to do it." So she was like, "But I don't know if I want them." I'm like, "Yeah, but you definitely know you want the option." So what I was trying to explain to her was you don't know at 30 if you want genetic children or not. In this situation, she has a female partner, so she doesn't know if she wants the kids to come from her eggs or her wife's eggs. But you want to keep those doors open. Now, a lot of companies today offer egg freezing and fertility preservation benefits. This woman happens to work at a company that offers $60,000 of fertility benefits. So what I said to her is, you'd sort of be silly if you don't take advantage of it. Freeze your eggs, and then you decide 5 years down the road if you want to use them. Your wife may have a baby and you may say, that's great, I'm done. Or your wife may have a baby and you may say, listen, I really want a baby. And then at 37, your fertility, your egg quality could be decreased. And so you go back to your 30-year-old eggs and use those eggs. So I think it's about optionality, right? Like even, it's funny, you said you grew up in a conservative household and you didn't talk about it. My daughters were growing up in the exact opposite, right? Like my daughter, I was just like, oh, I think of my period. And my little one's like, you and Charlie get your period on the same day. I'm like, oh, yep, we talk about this all the time. Like, we're very open because they're growing up the daughters of a gynecologist, but they know that they can have kids with a woman, with a man, on their own. Like there's so many ways to build a family, and that is something we all need to be aware of.
Yeah. Wait, I love what you said that you don't have to know if you want to have kids right now to make this decision.
Yeah, because you're not actually getting pregnant, right? All you're doing is saying, I've seen so many women come in because I always ask, like, hey, how many kids do you think you want? Or any. And a lot of women, nearly 50%, are like, I don't think I want kids. And I'm like, okay, cool. But you want to keep the option open. And they're like, yeah. So that if you do change your mind down the road, you can come back and do that.
I love that because I'm at that point where I'm like, I don't know if I do. I originally, if you asked me 2 years ago, I was like, absolutely not. No way. And then now I'm like, sometimes I'll make a joke, like, I can't wait to be a tennis mom. Like, I'll
Yeah.
start to like, I'll see baby clothes. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to like dress my kid like that. So I've seen like starting to like have little shifts in my brain and my thought process toward it. So maybe I do, maybe I don't. I have no idea. And I
Well, if
probably
you,
waited until I
yeah.
to make any kind of choices.
And that's the issue. But like what we want at 20, like I think about myself at 20 and then myself at 30, myself at 40, and now myself almost at 50. I'm a totally different person. Like I don't know if I would have wanted what I wanted at 20 at 50. And even the choice to be a parent or not be a parent, it can go different ways. But then at least it's not closed off. Because if you come and see me at 40 as opposed to 25, the options I can offer you are likely much more limited than the options you can have at 25.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like giving yourself the choice before your body makes that decision for you.
That's what I say. You want to control it, not have your body control you.
I like that. It's, I never thought about any of this. I just never thought about, I guess, women's health is not something that I feel like I've had a lot of conversations about. And I've never thought about how much, I guess, choices I have.
Yeah. You have a lot. There's a lot more choice than you know you have.
Yeah, it feels like for so long it's kind of been this expectations and pressures of timelines and how life should look. And it's never
Yeah.
been about empowering me to make choices that make sense for me and that feel like setting myself up for a future that I might want.
Yep.
Right? It's always
Exactly.
been about pressure, not empowerment.
Yeah.
You're like giving
And
us,
that But that's what it should be. We should change the conversation. So you're not coming into it and throwing a Hail Mary, being like, God, I hope someone catches that ball down the field. You're throwing, a short angle. I'm a crazy sports person, but you know what I'm saying? Where that's a really high percentage pass.
so now if I, so I'm 27, you said I'm a great age for someone who wants to go and freeze her eggs.
Mhm.
What is that process like?
So the first thing you want to do is you want to see a fertility doctor, right? Because a fertility doctor is going to get an assessment or perform an assessment of your egg quantity or your ovarian reserve. We want to know if somebody freezes their eggs, how many eggs do we think they're going to get? And what dose of fertility hormones do we need to give them to get their body there? So that's like the first step. But also during that consultation, we're going to learn about your medical history, your surgical history, your mom's gynecologic history, any genetic mutations that may exist in your family. Like we're going to do a lot of talking to learn about things that might impact your fertility now or later, right? And then once we get an assessment of your egg quantity, we're going to meet with you and we're going to say, okay, this is what we found. We found if you elect to do egg freezing, we think you'll get 14 eggs, right? And we think you should be able to freeze eggs for one round, or we think you might need to do 2 rounds or 3 rounds or whatever it is. So these are decisions we make collectively. And then based on these test results, we're going to be able to say to you, if you wind up doing egg freezing, what is the best protocol, like concoction of medications that you need to get your ovaries there?
I like how you said, like collectively, because if
Yeah.
you're not like dating someone, right? Like you're in this, maybe you feel alone. For me, that's a big thing, right? Is I'm always feel like I'm in everything alone all the time, especially when it comes to medical. And
Well, and you're not. But first of all, I mean, you're not even if you don't have a partner, but you're also basically, there's so many other women who are going through it at the same time, and you can lean on these women.
so going into this conversation, I was so anxious I was like, this sounds so overwhelming and so terrifying, but it's actually feels like it's an option for you to do
So
something. So like,
that that's the thing. Like you don't have to see it anymore as like this fearful last resort. It's you're driving the seat, the car, right? The car is no longer driving you. I always say when we first started doing egg freezing back in the 2010s, right? The women who froze the OG egg freezers, they were at the end of their reproductive lives, right? They were 44 years old. It was not really happening for them. And it was like they were just doing anything they could. And that's why there was so much desperation. But now that women freeze in their 20s, that desperation is gone. It's more of like, I'm going to do this because I am a badass.
I like the shift. Okay, so then for someone like me who I know a big fear of mine when it comes to anything related to hormones, anything related to any kind of medication, is I take a mood stabilizer.
Okay.
I live with bipolar 2 disorder, and anytime I have like a medication added or something, they usually say like you can't get pregnant on this. So you'd be careful with even like finding birth control, can take anything with estrogen.
Yep.
So do things like that with my, I guess, psychiatric behavioral health impact my ability for egg fertility? And if they do, like how do I kind of go about creating conversations on what the right thing to do for me is?
So that's an interesting question. So most of the medications, a lot of psychiatric medications, you cannot take during pregnancy, but you can take them while you're doing your IVF or egg freezing cycle. I, as a practitioner, traditionally will touch base with a patient psychiatrist who's on different medications to make sure that we are supporting this patient throughout their egg freezing IVF journey. Once you elect to have children, you'll meet with a reproductive psychiatrist who will figure out what you can be on during pregnancy and what you can't. That's what I tell my patients to do.
I didn't even know they were reproductive psychology or psychiatry.
Yeah, yes, they're amazing. That's their specialty.
Wow. Okay, see, I can't believe these aren't conversations that we're having because I know for me, like, that's a huge thing all the time that I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, so I couldn't have kids anyways because I need to take this medication. It
But
doesn't,
it doesn't mean you can't have kids. It just means you may have to change the medications that you're on when you're ready.
yeah. I didn't know that there was real like support and someone out there that specialized in it.
Yeah. And even if you couldn't see them, like let's say you're in LA, I mean, you're in LA, so you'll be able to find it. But let's say you're in a state that doesn't have an abundance of specialists. Like, I know there's like Washington State has, I think it's either Washington or Wyoming that has almost, I think, no fertility, like one fertility doctor. You can do these telehealth consults, especially for psychiatry, and say, these are my list of meds. This is can you help me figure this out?
Okay, I'm really liking this conversation because
Oh, good. I'm so happy.
it's alleviating a lot of anxieties that I know it feels like I can make more informed decisions now that I felt like before I didn't have the ability to make decisions and I was kind of convincing myself that I was locked
Ex-
into a box.
exactly, exactly. And that's the whole thing. You're not locked into a box. There's so many options available. You just have to know about what's out there.
So what are some of the other options that are available to you?
So other than egg freezing, you mean if you're young? So there's embryo freezing as well, but then you would need a sperm source to freeze your eggs with, right? So we tend to shy away from doing that unless somebody knows the individual with whom they are going to have children, right? Because then you're locked into that sperm source. That's number one. You could do nothing, right? You could say, listen, I'm not ready to do anything, but I'm going to come back and see you on an annual basis and see where my ovarian health is and what I can do from there. Or you can say, okay, thanks for the information. I'm not freezing eggs. I'm never coming back for any more information. And that's it.
So then if we're maybe I wait till I'm older and I come in and it's like, okay, I don't have a lot of viable eggs, right? This is becoming a very stressful journey. How can I support maybe some of my mental health during that uncertainty?
Yeah, I mean, the best way to support your mental health, I think, is if you're on psychiatric medications to stay on them. If you have a therapist, a psychologist, or psychiatrist, to stay in touch with them and maybe increase the number of visits that you do during that period. I also am a big fan of support groups. I think support groups or people going through like experiences always makes the journey easier. That's the things that I would say are helpful for people going through it.
Yeah, I love the support groups. A lot of times,
I'm a huge, yeah, yeah.
like I said before, I feel so alone and I'm always convincing myself. I don't know why, because I know that I'm not alone, but I always convince myself that I'm the only one going through it. I'm all
Well,
alone.
that's the thing. We all say that, right? Like we all say, I'm the only one. It's only happening to me. But that's never the case. It happens to so many other people.
Yeah. Support groups are a really great way to see that and to have someone to talk to about it and to learn different maybe avenues, questions you can ask, because a lot of times we just don't realize
A
what
hundred percent.
we're
We don't know.
yeah, you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what we don't know.
What do you wish that I guess you knew at 27?
Well, I wish egg freezing was available when I was 27. It was not. So, I mean, this is not just fertility stuff, but I wish I wasn't as rigid at 27 as I was then. Like, I was so super linear. I was like, I have to get married. I have to be a doctor. I have to have this. Like, life is so circuitous, right? And I see that now. Like, it's funny in my just hearing, like, my older daughter is so linear in some things. And I'm always like, it's okay. Life is not linear. Like, it's curvy. Like, part of the reason the book, Own Your Fertility, I don't have a copy sitting next to me, but the symbol, the graphic on the front of our book is circular and sort of messy. And what I've always said is like, that is life, right? Life is circular, it's messy, it's dirty, it's like everything that makes so much of us have anxiety, but that's what life is.
That's so true.
Yeah.
And we do like there's these like milestones that I have to get to this point
Yeah.
to have kids, to settle down, to have this. And if we keep waiting and putting it off, it might not be an option. But I think even if it's outside of kids and fertility, just in anything in our life, if we keep waiting and pushing things off so something looks perfect, life might never look that
Well,
ideal.
unfortunately, life is not perfect, right? Every single thing, all the, no offense to social media influencers, but we know that your life is not as perfect as you make it seem, right? Like it is there's a lot of downs and there's a lot of heartbreak and loneliness. And I think the younger we recognize that, the better that we live our life.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I'm really so grateful to have had this conversation with you today and just I can't wait to call my friends honestly after and talk to them about this because
I
no
mean,
I know they haven't had this conversation either. So I'm excited to see kind of their reactions and
I think that so much of our lives, we just like if we don't like if someone doesn't introduce a concept to us, we just may not know it. So my job is to now go and introduce this to more and more people.
I love that because that's the thing. All it takes is a conversation. And if
That's
we
all it takes. Yeah.
normalizing the conversation, having these conversations, we can help more people make informed decisions that empower them to do what feels right for them. And that's
Because it's your body, right? Like it's your body, it's your life. Like, I wrote that article that I said for Oprah that said why I'll freeze my daughter's eggs at 22. And like I got a lot of negative pushback on social media, and I knew I would. But what people missed was I don't say to my girls, you must have children or you must freeze your eggs. What I'm saying to them is I want to help you have optionality, right? As a parent, I made you brush your teeth. I made you go to sleep, right? I made you take a bath. Like I don't know why kids don't like to shower, but like I made you do things that were good for your health because that's what we knew the future would be, right? So in the same vein, I'm saying, guys, I know how reproduction goes. I'm not saying you ever have to use your eggs. I'm not saying you have to be parents, but I'm saying that you should do this so that you remove some of that anxiety about the future.
I love that. The anxiety about the future. Because that's the thing. We live with so much anxiety of what will be, what will this journey look like for me at
Yeah,
this point, and to know that we have more options available in case we need them if we want them is so
that's what we're
important.
trying to do. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me. How can people learn more about you, find your book, connect with you on
Sure.
social media?
So I work at a fertility clinic called CCRM New York. So I'm located in New York City, but there are CCRM clinics all across the country, right? If you want to meet with like-minded individuals, my book is called Own Your Fertility, and you can pre-order it on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. It's coming out on the 13th, Tuesday. And I have a website called it's drjaimeknopman.com. I spell my first name Jaime. My parents, I could kill them for doing that because I've missed 95,000 emails. And I have an Instagram called it's at Dr. Jaime Knopman. So that's where I am.
Thank you so much for listening to Normalize the Conversation. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. This podcast is an initiative of Inspiring My Generation, focusing on normalizing the conversation, bringing education and awareness to the forefront, and amplifying global voices to spark change and hope. Inspiring My Generation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization on a mission towards suicide prevention through awareness, conversation, education, and support. Connect with us on Instagram at Inspiring My Generation and visit our website, inspiringmygeneration.org, to learn more about our work and how you can make a difference.